Lisa.
Hey, hi, I'm just moving to a better spot. Oops, still attached. Hey, Lee,
Lisa,
long time no see.
welcome back.
Thank you.
Are you in Woodstock?
I am. Yeah, happily so.
Good.
Yeah. We were longer time in New Zealand this time, but we got back towards the end of June. And we've been gone a bit since then, Canada and here and there, but I'm just enjoying settling in and eating tomatoes.
Nice. Okay. Let's get started.
All right.
Meeting called to order at 7. So everybody who's here, say your name. So Lee Wessler's here.
Crystal Adams is
Mara
here.
Roby.
Lisa
Mara Roby.
Davidson.
Jim Kading.
Lori Barefoot.
Jean Philo.
And Grace Jacobson.
It looks like Jason's trying to connect.
Ah,
Okay, so we can bring Jim into the fold. Anyone have a chance to read the minutes, and is there a motion to approve?
I read the minutes and I had named the 4 streams. This is Jean. I read the minutes. I named the 4 streams that passed the assessment, but the names of the streams were not included in the minutes. And I think it's important to have complete information in our minutes because people read them.
Hey, Grace, can you?
I
include
suppose so, yeah.
Thank
So
you.
for the record, the streams were Peak Brook, English Neighborhood Brook, Peckham Brook, and Safford Brook.
Peak Brook, go again.
English Neighborhood Brook, Peckham Brook, and Safford Brook.
Fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other corrections or comments? Or is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay. Is there any further discussions? Hey, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And minutes passed. Well, no public here to participate, so we're on the treasurer's report. Grace, any?
No, our
First-
budget is still 1914 and the special is 2193.22.
Thank you, Grace. Any questions for
Mhm.
Grace?
I just have a statement that I still have an outstanding receipt that I need to get to her.
Okay. Okay, chairperson's report, nothing to report. Communications, I got a reminder about Kakiwick. Anyone else get any other communications?
There were none in the mailbox, no.
Where do we discuss the email Lisa Davidson sent about Roseland Park? Was that communications?
No, she can bring that up.
No.
She's here, so she
I
can
know.
bring up new business. Okay, old business, Jean, DRC.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring up Roseland Park because seeing Lisa's concerns, I took it upon myself before the meeting to request a copy of any plans they have for making changes at Roseland Park. As you know, Roseland Park is in the Putnam's drinking water supply watershed and abuts Roseland Lake, which is already suffering from water quality degradation. And people have been contacting me with concerns about runoff into the lake based on the improvements in the park, but I had never seen any plans for it. So I went to the ZEO's office and wetland official's office. He's on vacation, but I did receive a copy of what was submitted, which are not official plans, they're preliminary plans. And there were notes on the folder they came out of that said it's not an official application yet. It is that they just put in these preliminary plans. They want to change the road infrastructure within the park, and they want to create new roadways or paved roadways within the riparian area of Roseland Lake. They did not have any sediment and erosion control plans. They have no stormwater management plans. Anything has not been submitted. It's not an official application. So looking at those plans, I decided to go down to Roseland Park today and snoop around and kind of get a feel for it. And what Lisa said about the trees down at Roseland Park is very true. They have taken on a lot of trees in anticipation of putting in this new road system, which no one's seen any plans for. And it's kind of one of those situations where I believe they expect that they can just, they're going to get a blessing to do this. So they took the trees down before they, I got it approved that they could put the roads where they want to. So it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out. They still have to come up with those official engineered plans, drawings, and they have to be reviewed by inland wetlands because it is in the upland review area. And hopefully they didn't take down all those trees for nothing, but they did change where the entrance to the park is going to be. And that got approved by the highway department. But all the interior work has not been reviewed. I'm going to recommend that Development Review Committee take a look at this and submit our comments to wetlands before they meet on October 7th.
Okay, so who is they?
The Board of Trustees for Roseland Park.
And what jurisdiction does P&Z have over Roseland Park?
Wetlands has
No,
jurisdiction.
I'm asking, does P&Z
I
have?
don't think that these are internal improvements on private land, and I don't know if P&Z has it, but wetlands does, and wetlands also is we also can provide recommendations to wetlands.
So
Okay,
the wetlands agency has no jurisdiction outside of the regulated upland review area. They can't deny a timber harvest if they utilize best practices because they're a use permitted as of right. Like, it's a private property, so we really don't have much say over what they do with their trees or the roads in there.
How far from the water is the review area?
I have to go back into the state
I
statute.
believe it's 125 feet, but it's not set in stone that they can only review 125 feet. They can also review outside that if they believe there will be impacts to the water downstream, downslope.
This is Mara. I will agree with that as being a prior wetlands agent. If they can show, which isn't always easy to prove, but if you can show that there's a clearly going to affect the water course, that can be counted as well.
And also, doesn't the Putnam Water District also have some jurisdiction due to the nature of Roseland Lake as a reservoir?
The Putnam Water Pollution Control Authority should be notified of this activity in their watershed, and they have the right to comment on it, but they don't necessarily have to comment on it. If there was something they felt was egregious and they said, no, don't do this, it'll be the worst thing you can do, they have the right to comment on it.
So how does the Conservation Commission aid the wetlands, Inland and Wetlands Committee if they don't have any jurisdiction in Roseland Park?
They do have jurisdiction in Roseland
Okay.
Park.
Okay,
Not very much.
They have the right
it
to say
depends.
that, they can say that there needs to be a sediment erosion control plan before they do any disturbance, because they're going to have to be removing material before they put down a base and then put asphalt over the top. And they're going to be doing this within 50 feet of the lake. They can also make sure there is a stormwater management plan so that any new runoff created, the roads are going to be widened in some places and they're going to be removing roads in other places. So they need to be able to, they have the right to tell them, you need to do X, Y, and Z to reduce runoff, to make sure there's no new net runoff into Roseland Lake.
Yeah, I'm just looking online really quick and it is 100, I mean, at least what I'm seeing here for the town of Woodstock inland wetland and watercourse regulations, at least back in 2009, which I found really quickly was 125 feet. And I don't think they ever get shorter, right? They only get longer. So it's going to be at least 125 feet.
Right. And they're using, well, the roads that are going to be improved within that 125 feet. Some of them already exist as paved roads. One of them is an unpaved road that is one car wide, so they're going to have to widen it. So if you're familiar with the park, there was a fire pit by the lake, and they had to take that out in order to make room for this improved roadway that they want to put along the water. And I also was able to find a copy of an older proposed plan, not the one that they're working with now. This plan that they're presenting at this point is only for paved roadways within the park, but they have no parking on any of this. Now, currently people park along the sides of the roads that are there, and they're one-way roads, so that you can always get one car through and have cars parked along the side. They're now going to change that to one two-way road. And so the parking is going to have to be concentrated someplace, and the plans that I saw do not have any parking on it. There are some speculation that they were going to be putting in parking in other areas, but that's not on these plans. So parking, although it won't be paved, is going to be another improvement, because they're going to have to disturb the soil within the riparian area in some instances if they still plan to do parking the way they had on their original plan. So basically, I'm not trying to stop this. I just want to make sure that it's done correctly, with concerns for runoff, and like the new access way is going to be close to Roseland Park Road, and if there's going to be water that's going to be culverted under that road, because the base and all that does act as a dam, so they have to let the water through it in certain places. How is that water going to be either dissipated on the other side of the culvert, or else collected and infiltrated? So that's, there's no plans right now at this point, and I would like to make sure that it's considered as part of the planning process.
okay, but again, you know, we have to understand, they don't have to listen to us.
Right.
No, we're
and this is-
advisory.
this is
We're
just
advisory to
something-
the Board of Selectmen, we're advisory to planning and zoning, we're advisory to wetlands.
Okay,
Okay, so this came from our CEO that we can't preemptively require a plan for hypothetical work until the applicants decide to move forward with the proposal. So it sounds like that maybe hasn't happened yet, or if it's going to, it might be at the, at the next inland wetlands meeting, which you might want to attend.
which is on a
A-
night I
and-
have a conflict.
October 7th. Mhm.
Yes, that
Okay,
meeting.
so
And just
You-
a
you're-
question, does cutting of the trees mean that they've moved forward?
No, not necessarily.
All right, just
Well,
wondering
when I
if it
was
was.
Are they, okay,
It's
At the park
preliminary.
today, you can see they had stakes in the ground with flagging on it to indicate where this road is going to be located. So they cut the trees in anticipation of being able to just put the road in.
are the trees within 100 feet or 125 feet that they
Um,
cut?
They cut a lot of trees down in the park that I would consider hazard trees, but they, so that, and that's down by the water. The ones up by the road, it's hard to tell what they were because they're not there. They-
Oh, And they did do quite a bit of, lower sort of brushy tree removal along the riparian edge.
Oh,
As well, just not taking them completely out, but they've cut a lot of those trees to improve the view when you're in the park, looking out to the water. And they have plans to do more, from what I understand, in that way that I would be disturbed about, as far as it being within that, right on the water's edge, and opening more thermal potential to the water that doesn't need that also.
And also riparian vegetation, especially, part of the roadway is an area that floods. And I'm not saying occasionally, it's flooded multiple times in my lifetime in here, living in Woodstock. The riparian vegetation, the root structure helps to hold the soil in place when the Roseland Lake rises up over the retaining wall and flows through the park. So removing that vegetation allows the water to travel more rapidly across the lawn surfaces and increases the potential for erosion. And so that I understand not wanting to have the view of the water blocked, but at the same time, it's not proper to take down all the vegetation. And we've complained about other people on Roseland Lake doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
so
true.
Jean is the chairwoman of DRC. You, give us our recommendations, but, be cognizant that, this is not a town-owned venue. So,
Any development is typically not.
doesn't
on-
matter. That's inland wetlands is any
Yeah,
land.
yeah, so
Doesn't
inland
matter.
wetlands, we can, we'll advise inland wetlands, and ultimately it's their.
Yeah.
their-
And
their
in
call.
the past, Lily, prior to you being on the commission, there were instances where there were pre-proposals submitted, and we were able to provide feedback before those plans got printed on the official draft paper. And we were able to influence how things were done. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm confident that the Wetlands Agency is going to know the things that they need to do, but it also helps to reinforce it, that there's natural resources in the park. And I'm not talking about the aesthetics. I'm not talking about the historical. It's the natural resources that I'm concerned about. And obviously I've been very intimately involved with Roseland Lake water quality, and would not want to see anything further added to degrade the water quality in Roseland Lake that we've been working very hard to improve over
Okay.
time.
So we'll expect to hear your assessment recommendations.
So
And-
the meeting is on October 7, and who would like to be part of the DRC review? Because I'll have to call an official meeting for this. Is
What-
anybody
what-
willing to serve on
What's the review?
it's a development review committee. It's
Oh.
a review of our concerns where we
Oh, right.
you know,
Okay.
The
Yeah.
way it's done is we say, this is the current conditions, these are our concerns, and these are our recommendations.
Okay, yeah,
And it's all based on natural resources and not
Yeah.
emotional.
And
Right.
if I can just make a comment, if you're concerned that they've actually been doing something in violation, which is removal of whatever within 100 feet, without a permit, you can report that to the wetlands agent. I'm assuming because he's on vacation, there was someone who is backing him up, because these kinds of things, should be looked at sooner rather than later, because if you think they're going to continue to do things, then you definitely would want to at least report that. Anyone is allowed to report, what they consider could be a violation, and then someone should be following up on that to make
When
sure
I
that
was-
it doesn't continue. And they might not even know that they can't do that, so I'm not like, it's just letting them know that, until they come before the inland wetlands.
Dan will be
The,
back Wednesday. If anyone would like to email him or make an appointment to see him, go for it.
yeah.
I was in the town hall today and I was speaking with, is her name Tracy?
Yes.
And she goes, Dan has his lunch in Roseland Park every day. So he's very
Oh.
aware
Well,
of what's been going on. And he had, like I said, there were notes written on the folder of things that were missing in terms of an application. There's no fee been put in. There's been no plan submitted. So it's not a complete application at this time, but I would anticipate that the application will be prepared and ready to submit to wetlands in time for their October 7 meeting. So if I were to hold a DRC meeting, I can, let me just, can I share the screen, Crystal?
Sure.
This is one of the maps I got, and then I took some other notes while I was down there. Like I asked Rick, where's the leach field for the cottage and whatnot. So anybody who's not familiar with it, this is Roseland Park Road is here. This is where the new entrance was put in, and this is where the old entrance was or is currently. And this is one of the roadways that's going to be new, created as while the trees were taken down along Roseland Park Road.
Wow.
This is all field here. And then this is the dotted line, which is representing the 125-foot buffer, but obviously this is 125 feet here, but this is 125 feet here. Not accurate. This is an existing roadway. This is where the caretaker's cottage is. And this road here, which is currently unpaved, will be paved. This road is a one-lane road, will be paved. So it's going to be widened and paved. And this is the road that goes down towards the lake, and then you take a left to go to the boat launch. This road here, the blue in blue, is one of those one-way loops. That's going to be removed. So this is just be a two-way road here. And parking is going to be concentrated, but it's not shown on this map. And there'll be an entrance from the Little League field, one here, and then this road.
Gene, do we know why they even are doing that road near parallel to Roseland Park Road?
I don't
mean,
know.
It doesn't make much sense.
They hired a landscape architect who does urban parks in Boston, who lived in Woodstock at one point in his life, who came up with this plan. And
I mean, what do you gain by having a road parallel to Roseland Park Road?
Maybe, not that I think that this is a good idea, but maybe what they're trying to gain is like a set size loop, right? Like you can come here and jog and it's 2 miles all the way around or whatever.
Okay.
I can't answer, Lee, because right now there's a roadway that you can get into the park by a walking path here. It's paved.
Yeah.
They're taking that out. They're gonna put, this road here is a dirt road, it's existing,
Yes,
and they're gonna narrow that down to make it just a paved walking
It's a,
path.
it's a paved road now. And
This
they're
one here?
proposing, it's a 16-foot paved road now that they're proposing to disrupt all the way and make it an 8-foot, which doesn't make any sense because it,
And they've taken all the trees down along the side too, here.
Okay.
So, I mean, in terms of like carbon footprint, I think taking trees down kind of is backwards. I don't know if there's any plans to replant trees. You know, those are all questions I have. There are a lot of questions I have after looking at this map and walking around the park today.
yeah. Well, interesting.
So I'd like to know if anybody besides myself would like to submit this review with our concerns and questions.
I definitely would.
Okay,
It depends
Lisa?
on when you have the meeting for me.
Well, it's gonna have to be within the next 2 weeks. What dates
Yeah.
are people available?
Well, the week of the 1st, I have my cousins coming up to visit, so
I'm not back until
I'm up there.
the 5th. I'm not back until the 4th. Yeah, I'm away from the 30th to the 4th, but I'm available online, so.
What about later this week?
Yep,
It can't be tomorrow because I didn't put in a meeting notice.
I can do later this week.
Yeah,
but-
Wednesday, I'm already committed to another meeting.
So is Thursday?
Well, and Thursday I have plans with my Thursday is a sacrosanct night for me, where I sleep on the couch. So I'm sorry, this meeting, this week I'm kind of booked the entire week.
And you're not available the following week, and then
Yeah,
the meeting on Monday, the 7th.
No, yeah, like because my cousin's coming up the 30th
So
all week.
what's
Oh,
required?
it could be me
And
and
I don't
Lisa.
have to be that, you don't need, I other people can go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's required? Is it require a certain number of people? Does it
No, we
require
don't have a
formulating
quorum for a
letter?
DRC meeting.
Just it's a subcommittee, so whoever wants to come and work on it, or everybody's
Well, if
welcome.
it's just Lisa and I could, Lisa, are you available to meet at the town hall? That way that we don't have to have anybody on Zoom.
I am.
Okay. So, let's shoot for, Thursday. Do you prefer morning or afternoon?
Okay, it doesn't matter to me. I'm open on Thursday, so.
All right, I'll contact the town hall and find out what meeting room is available when, and I'll make the agenda and it'll be posted and you and I can meet there and, type up the standard DRC review, which we will send to the Wetlands Agency, Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Authority, and CC Putnam to let them know, we looked at it, and the Board of Trustees for Roseland Park. Our
Okay.
standard way of doing things. We don't do things just to piss people off. We're just concerned about the resource, and that's Roseland Lake. All right, so I'll set up a meeting on the 26th.
Good. So, as far as right now, I mean, and this was always my concern, and I think, Maura spoke to it as well, which is there something now that can stop more trees from going down in this interim period? Because they've banded lots more trees, and at any day now, they could just come along and be cutting again.
I don't think that
I
there's
guess you
anything
could
that
talk to
can be
Dan
done.
Mallow about.
Okay,
It's
so Dan said
technically-
trees can be cut anywhere on private property without seeking the agency's
Yeah.
approval if they're not within the wetlands area of jurisdiction. It's a private property. We
right.
may not like it that they're cutting trees, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
allowed to.
But it's also, I mean, I don't, I hope I'm not like going over into the emotional here, but it's also a public park. It's also, you know, in the historic zone, it's also in the aquifer. You know, it seems like there's other things that come to bear on this piece of private property.
I mean, maybe you should take it to the
Oh.
Roseland Park trustees.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
said. I would copy
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Bonnie,
I'm talking to Lisa with her
Yeah,
concerns.
yeah, okay. Well, I mean, you mean as like a letter right now?
Or
saying-
you yourself as a private citizen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um, I mean, I'd be happy to do that. I guess what I would, yeah, I would just, I'm not sure if they have their emails posted, or would it need to be a physical letter? Would it need to be, could it be an email to them?
I mean, I check out their website and see how to contact them and
Yeah.
contact. them.
Okay. Yeah,
And you can definitely submit a letter to inland wetlands, because even though it's may not be within the upland review area per se, there are things they can look at oftentimes that could be outside if they feel like it is going to cause issues. So
yeah,
it's not blanket, oh, they only have this much, and that's in the state statutes. You can go back and there's clear language about if there is, and I mean, that does need to, takes a lot more sort of proving, but you know, if it shows that that is clearly going to degrade, I'm not saying it is, but if they can show that, so it's not unreasonable to even mention it for that reason too.
okay.
And Lisa, you can also like write a letter to the editor in the Villager
Yeah,
and ask, you know, and ask that other people, you know, write to Roseland Park. And, you know, if you can get enough people, you know, complaining about it, maybe that would change things.
yeah,
But I
It's
think
not even like complaining, it's just like, just people that are concerned, that's all, that
Yeah.
isn't really a clear plan of the tree, you know, like,
right.
you know, are they gonna replant? Like, maybe they are, and so that's great, and like, that would be great for people to know, since it is such a publicly used place.
Mhm.
I
Right.
think it
Well,
makes,
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's great to think, okay, yeah, gonna be replant, but these are trees that are providing a big service right now as they are.
Right.
like a lot
Yeah.
of them.
So it is a complaint. We're complaining you're cutting old growth trees.
Yeah, and
And if you get, you know, if you can make the public aware like we did with Eversource, you know, by putting it in the Villager, other, you know, you may get other people to come with
Yeah,
you to
yeah.
attend the next board meeting of Roseland Park. And if enough of the public is complaining, maybe they'll also change your
yeah,
mind.
yeah. I mean, that's what kind of, I started to see these trees going down, and then I thought, oh, I want to look and see where where's the plan? What's happening? And I could not find the plan anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what alarmed me and got me inquiring and bringing this up to the Conservation Commission.
Yeah,
Because you
thanks.
think that there should be a plan somewhere that the public and everybody can review.
Yeah, so if you could kind of spearhead it, and you know, next month we'll put it on old business and you can let
Yeah.
us know where things stand.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other discussion on it?
Well, I mean, I think, Jean, you brought up all the, pretty much the salient points. I mean, mine were, you know, I lived on the lake in 2005, when we had the worst flooding that anybody'd seen in over 150 years. And the lake level came up like 8 to 10 feet. And the flooding that's happened since that has not come up quite that far. And there were more Phragmites on the lake at that point. But we don't know what's going to happen going forward with climate. And a lot of the proposed roads are within quite possible flood zone as well. And that's a concern. You know, the disruption of taking up some of the asphalt that's there. Jean mentioned that. They have plans for these walking paths that are also going to be paved. And
It's
those
the
walking paths
Boston
will,
aesthetic.
what's that?
It seems like we're bringing the Boston aesthetic.
Yeah, and some of the walking paths are designated to be used as like catering vehicle pathways, so that, I mean, essentially they're going to be roads. They're not just paved walking pathways. So those pathways also, I would think, would need to have a review of stormwater
It's
drainage.
it's private property, Lisa.
Yeah, but I just, I wonder.
They can be reviewed if it's within the review area or
Right.
they deem
Yeah.
that's
the
up to,
review
it is up to.
area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it looks
but
like
not
to
beyond
me,
it.
like there are a lot of
Okay,
these within the
sometimes
review
beyond
area.
it.
I
Yeah.
feel like we're
Depending.
overstepping
Yes.
our
Well,
authority.
yeah, we're not, Crystal. Lisa's going to go to the meeting. She'll
Yeah.
try to put a letter in the Villager to, get other citizens aware.
Okay, I
And-
think
and
the letter,
Jean's gonna,
is the
Hmm?
letter coming from Lisa as a citizen?
yes,
Not,
as
okay.
a private citizen. Yes.
Yeah,
This
okay.
commission, Jean's we're gonna send recommendations to inland wetland. That's our responsibility as far as commenting on the trees and the
But we're also-
pathways.
Are we not sending the letter also to the trustees?
Well, sent-
we're-
whatever I produce will be sent CC to the Board of
Okay,
Trustees.
and so that will be coming from Lee as the chairperson, not
Well,
us?
no,
Yeah.
Jean, the subcommittee's next month's gonna bring it to the full committee. We'll discuss it and then, write what we all agree on.
Okay, so, but what, the meeting that we're having on Thursday, Jean, is there some kind of assessment from that meeting that then goes to wetlands, inland wetlands?
Yes,
Before their
Yes.
meeting on October 7th?
before their
Okay.
meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, I put the map back up. This is where my cursor is the new entrance to the park. This is a straight shot from Roseland Park Road, and it ends here. If you've been to the park, there's parking over here. They park
Yep.
in the grass here. There's going to be new parking installed over here, which I think is kind of where the pavilion is, that area. So they're going to be creating parking, but that's not part of their pavement plan. Any place you put in improvements for parking, you're gonna have runoff. And if they don't have anything to address that runoff,
Yeah,
it's gonna get into the park. So it's worth mentioning that
yeah.
they need
So,
to have, I mean, I just haven't seen any plans, and if they would please consider it before they submit their plans, is even better.
okay,
Here's-
so we've discussed this enough. Lisa, you know what you have to do. Jean, you're gonna have the subcommittee. You send your recommendations to inland wetlands. Next month, you bring it back to us and see what you discovered. And that's how we approach this.
Can I ask one more question, Lee?
Yes, Lori.
There's the Roseland Lake Management Plan that was from 2018. I just wondered, Jean, did that map you have come out of that Roseland Lake Management Plan?
The one that I had up,
Yeah,
that came from the Wetlands Office. That's the proposed pavement plan in that management, in their park improvement plan, preliminary park improvement plan. It's not the final one.
okay,
And I'm very familiar with the Roseland Lake Management Plan.
okay. And does anybody know who, maybe you do, Jean, who makes that Roseland Lake Management Plan? And if that's falls under the purview of the agencies we just talked about, wetlands, et cetera.
I wrote the Roseland Lake Management
Cool.
So when I worked for the district.
Uh-huh.
So I researched it and I wrote it, and there's information in there about impervious cover. And
Yes, I
reduced
saw that.
impervious cover. And there's also updated stormwater, help me with this one more, the 2024 stormwater. What's the new
Deep.
guide? Maura, what's the name of the
Deeps.
book? Stormwater management. The DEP plan.
Mhm.
They just came out with new plans. It has a whole section on LID incorporated in the plan and all the things you're supposed to do, especially in drinking water supply watershed areas. And so, I mean, there's a lot of justifications for our concerns. That
Yeah.
they're adding more impervious cover so close to this water body that's impaired.
Are they, as private owners, are they do they have to follow this Roseland Lake Management Plan, or is that just an optional or suggested
It's a
plan?
guidance document, and
Uh-huh.
wetlands is supposed to be using this document to make their decisions.
Okay, so it's not required, it's a guidance document.
Well,
No, unfortunately, it's there are no state regulations to say you can't do anything. But if you're doing this, you need to take measures to reduce your stormwater footprint.
Okay.
There, one more comment is, their proposal is taking out a lot of the asphalt there, which seems a little ridiculous in many places, but the overall plan that they have now, they've said will add 2/10 of a mile more of paved surface, which amounts to 1,054 feet more than what they currently have of impervious surface. That's
okay.
it. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, we could recommend the road be, you know, a material that, you know, gravel or something. So, you know, but anyway.
Stormwater quality manual, that's what it is.
Okay. Okay,
Ah.
moving on to open space. Anything, Crystal?
At the open space meeting, we talked about what had been at that point, the upcoming Celebrate Ag. I brought some information forward about the open space and watershed land acquisition grant program that just opened. We discussed that a little bit, and I think that was pretty much it.
Any questions for Crystal?
I just have a comment. I saw Dawn at Celebrating Agriculture Day, and we had a conversation about something that was brought to my attention, and that is that the Nipmuc forest that abuts Black Pond, there was a proposal to sell that to the YMCA camp, and Dawn believes that instead of selling it, it's now leased to the YMCA camp, and the conditions of that lease weren't clear, whether any structures could be put on it or anything like that. Then she had recommended I talk to Chandler to see what the language was in that. But it's one of those cases where we thought, aha, we have this open space. It's never going to become less than open space, and I don't know what its future is if DEP is rendering control of the land over to the YMCA to do whatever. Hopefully it's just putting some trails on it, but I don't know.
Is that where the trails are already?
There are no trails on that part of Nipmuc Forest.
Okay.
There's a boat launch there.
Okay.
So that's a state park, I believe, right?
State forest.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, P&Z, I didn't see anything in the minutes. Jean, anything?
One of their meetings was canceled. I didn't see any proposals for anything.
Okay, Grace Ag Commission.
Basically, they talked about Celebrating Ag, but, you know, nothing concerning us.
Okay. Jim, stewardship.
Nothing yet.
Okay.
Sorry,
Jean?
I was gonna get you something and I
Nope.
could only find like a partial spreadsheet. So I don't
Okay.
know if Jean still has the full spreadsheet of all the properties that came out of the town hall many years ago, and then Ruby gave me a partial I don't know why, but a partial listing, and I can't seem to find the full spreadsheet with all of the properties.
I might have that someplace. I'm
Because I
gonna
was
look.
gonna send it to Jim.
Sure. Who did you get it from, Laura?
Well, Jean, you were a part of creating that, weren't you?
I created the original one, yes.
Okay. I'll reach out to both of you, later. We don't need to tie up the meeting.
Yeah, it's just for a reminder, because I tend to like forget.
That's fine.
It was a ginormous Excel spreadsheet that, some of it was inaccurate, and see Judy Wall, I'm gonna call her the wrong name. Judy, Bette Zimmerman, Dawn and I, Judy, Dawn and I all worked on to try to get it up to date, and we know there's still some errors on it.
So
There
maybe
were
Judy's,
subdivisions that were approved with open space, and then they reversed those. They never filed their Mylars or whatever, so they kind of got canceled after 5 years. So there are spaces on there that are not open space. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I'll look for it for you.
I can talk to Judy about it too.
Okay.
Okay, Gene, pollinator pathway, besides the Ag Day, anything?
I have not done anything new pollinator pathways. I did talk to Jason, who's been driving by the Memorial Garden. I have not yet done the plaque for the Memorial Garden, but Jason, would you like to describe that condition of the Memorial Garden for anybody who's concerned?
Yeah, well, I'll just say that it honestly looks a lot better than I expected. So just in the area, not being able to, get really direct care or water, the wood chips did a really great job of holding back the weeds and holding the moisture in, and most of the stuff that went in there looks to be in good shape. So
Thank you, Jason.
Yep, absolutely.
Any
And let's
questions
hope we
for
get some rain
Gene?
this week.
For real, yeah.
Jean, so at Celebrating Ag, there are a number of people that were from Woodstock that we were giving out seeds for pollinators. And so I asked them if they were on the Woodstock pollinator pathway, and they said, "What's that?" So is there information on our website? That's what I told them, because I assumed there was some information about how they would sign up.
There is information about the pollinator pathway on the website. There is an email address that we created for the website, but I don't think anybody's checking it. Ruby set it up. I have to look to see if I even have the password to access it. So I would not be recommending people email that address because no one's responding.
So how do you want people to sign up for the Woodstock pollinator pathway then?
Well, they can't just sign up and ask us to send them a medallion. I think we have to have them sign some kind of a pledge, and
I know. That's what I'm asking. What's the process? Because if you want this to spread throughout the town, I know there's people that have, and they're interested and they didn't know about it. So I'm just saying we should have a way for them so we can have a map and they can be on, just so we can see.
Yeah, that's going to take someone to maintain that map. I mean, I did it for a couple of years, and someone said they'd take it over and didn't. So it kind of, that map is not up to date.
Is it a Google map?
It was.
Okay. Just curious.
Okay, moving on, Crystal, Sustainable Connecticut update.
They have a lot of some good training events on their website. If you go to sustainablect.org/trainings and events, they've got a calendar with a lot of webinars and information. Like, if anyone's interested, tomorrow there's a Connecticut Water Planning Council source water protection workshop. There's a Yukon resilience improvement and investment. There's a EPA on brownfields multipurpose. There's a lot of information and things if people are interested.
Thanks, Crystal. Any questions for Crystal? Hey, any update on the dirt roads in town?
I don't believe I said this at the last meeting because I think I met a couple days after our last meeting with the first selectman and Jason, the head of Public Works, and Dan Malo, the inland wetlands agent. We had a good meeting to discuss, maybe a path forward. And so the bottom line is I have a lot of research to do. For them, of course, it's about money. They definitely acknowledge, there's issues on many roads, even non-dirt roads in Woodstock. Apparently there's erosion going on into wetlands, potentially on the sides of roads. So just trying to figure out, prioritize. They want to prioritize, and then just I would really like to steer them towards more green infrastructure because of cost. So like not necessarily doing these expensive engineering solutions. And so, even just swales and ways to, direct the runoff into appropriate places. So I need to figure out, I think, like someone who has been successful, and hopefully Jean can help me, maybe give me some ideas. So, I'd like to have somebody come in and do a presentation that of successes in green infrastructure practices. There are a lot of resources out there, so just trying to get through those and figure out, what would be best
Maura, this is
way
Jean.
to sort of go forward. But I think having somebody present. Yep.
I would like to see someone who's an expert in dirt roads.
Right.
Finding a way to get grant funding, to hire someone to come in, and once we do our own inventory of our problem spots, working with the Public Works Department, to have them come in and do an assessment. I mean, reality is climate change has created some wicked storms that really rips up the roads. And are we doing the best we can to manage it? And I can tell you right from walking on my road, no, we're not. But so what can we do to reduce those impacts? And we might need to accept in some places that we need to better armor the roads so that they're not going to wash away every time we get a heavy rain, which seems to be several times a year. But I would like to bring in an outside consultant if we can. We'd have to find funding to pay for that. But I don't have any recommendations for any grants that we might be able to apply for. I can tell you that the Roseland Lake Management Plan and the Natjog Healthy Watershed Protection Plan both mention dirt roads as something of concern for water quality. So there may be an opportunity to look into a 319 grant to do this assessment for at least 2/3 of the town. But I don't know anything other than that.
Oh, okay, that's a good point, because I hadn't thought of that. I did look at the Roseland Lake plan, and I did see that your recommendation was to consult experts. So that makes sense. And yeah, I think they're very open. I thought Jason, he actually has a really good manual that he uses that I had actually found as well. So I think, he really is on top of like trying to do things in the best way. It's just sort of, figuring out maybe somebody who's more of an expert. And I did talk with Mike Dietz at UConn, and the whole CLEAR, they don't really address dirt road things apparently, but he did sort of put me in the direction as well of like green infrastructure. And so it's just a matter of finding the right people and I think finding a grant. So I'll be working on that. It's probably going to
I
take
would
some.
like, I'd like to see some more rolling dips that can withstand the plows going over them if they're done with the correct, angles. So the plows don't have to stop and lift their plow. They can just go and follow the dip. It goes down and then it goes up higher and then comes back down again. So water gets directed off the road in small
Are you
increments.
talking about a water bar?
Well, they're called rolling dips, but it's like a water bar, but on an angle.
I did actually mention that in the meeting, and Jason felt like that doesn't work on a hill with the plows, he said. So I think there's just a lot of issues, that just sort of need to be worked out. Or somebody who, like who's an expert that can say how they handle the maintenance.
And just when they grade the roads, they always create the pile on the side of the road grader that is taller than the access way to get into the swale where the water's designed to go. And that's something that they have to get out of the truck and shovel to let the
We don't
water
have to
go.
get, we don't have to get into the specifics, but just to, I'm brainstorming here. One of the, as chairman of conservation, somehow I'm also chairman of flood control in Woodstock.
Oh yeah.
So I don't want to talk about this now, but if you could, if you foresee flooding in Woodstock due to climate change in the future and can come up with, specific recommendations, I don't know who, I don't have anyone else in the committee per se, and I don't know what latitude I have, but, maybe somehow we can use that to, take to the selectmen. But anyway, I just, think about it.
Wetlands is on that commission, Department of Public Works.
Okay.
Because I remember I used to be chair of conservation, so I was also,
Okay.
They've never met. They
Right.
had to create one in order to qualify for something. So there was an ordinance created to make one, and they appointed different people who were in chair positions on different commissions, and then they never met. They met the
Good.
requirement to create a flood and erosion control board.
Well, anyway, if you have ideas, maybe somehow through that mechanism, we can get something. So,
Thank you.
okay, on to Ag Day. Jean, you were there? Comments?
I was there. I was there. I was set up. I talked to quite a few people, a lot of people from adjoining towns who'd never heard of pollinator pathway. So I was trying to encourage the pathways to not stop at our town border. And some people were very interested. One person was like begging me to come to Lebanon to come down and explain it to their town. I'm like, that's a little beyond my my current job description right now. But it's if there was interest in it. I don't think there was a lot of traffic. I don't know how well attended the event was. It was raining in the morning when the breakfasts were being served, so I didn't see as big a crowd as normal. And then you took over, Lee. So
Yeah.
What was your impression?
I probably saw a dozen people. I think our display was nice because they were all interested when I started talking to them about pollinator pathway. I was handing out the literature on different the plants. I have my iPad, so I got to show them pictures of our pollinator gardens.
Nice.
Was nice. So people were interested, but the traffic was less compared to a few years ago when we had it at the fair. But it was probably weather. I think weather did play impact things.
I think it kind of depended on where your table was, because I feel like there were hundreds of people. So that was kind of the consensus over where I was, because
Oh.
we were getting asked how many, still, I think a little less than the normal, but it was still, I experienced a lot of people. So I guess it depends on where you are.
Well, I'm really sorry that I wasn't able to come and do the toilet plunger.
We didn't have that set up this year. I was allowed funds to print more of those Northeast ecoregion pollinator handouts, and I went into the supplies that Grace had brought to my house, plus what was inside the case, and determined that we didn't need any, so I didn't use any of that funding.
Thank you. Okay, I want to add, so for old business also, what do we have to do about commenting on the plan of open space and development? Do we need any formal meetings, or what are we going to do?
Plan of conservation and development.
Okay.
POCD.
I
I was
think our
getting it wrong. The plan.
POCD, and we have APOSC. A plan of open space and conservation is
Yes.
ours,
Okay.
and POCD is.
Okay. So we've been asked to comment on POCD. Jean or Jim was thinking about spearheading that maybe. What's the next steps that we need to take for that?
Are they having the first meeting of their month? They meet the first and third Thursday of the month, I think. And I think the first Thursday is being voted to the plan of conservation and development, if I'm not mistaken. That's what they're focused on now. And anybody can go to the meetings and participate.
Right, but as far as our committee reviewing it and giving recommendations,
I think we should be involved while they're writing it to make sure it includes conservation adequately and feeding them important documents that relate to conservation in town, including the updated Little River watershed-based plan that Maura led, the Roseland Lake Management Plan, the Nat Dog Healthy Watershed Plan. All those things should be included in there to make sure that they're considered. So
we had our plan too.
Yeah, our plan is really out of date.
Oh, it is.
And
Okay.
and I really think that it'd be better to have an open space plan. I think we're at, Crystal, do you think we're at 21%? I mean, I talked to Dawn about that a while ago. Our goal was to be 21% by the 21st century or something. I forgot what it was, or 25%.
I don't know that we're at that yet.
No,
But we're a lot further along than we were.
21% of what?
open space.
Okay.
Of the state, but we were, as a watershed source water area, our open space should be more, because in urban centers it's going to be less, and we should be protecting watershed lands more, because the impact of development in source water areas is pretty devastating. So anyway, it is my intention to participate, but I think each one of us should have a role in it, not just one person. I will be going representing myself. So when they have meetings, try to go. Be heard. There was a survey. If you didn't participate in the survey, participate in the survey. I have to say, Amy Monahan she's hot stuff, man. She's been doing a lot of the work in the preliminary sense, and she's just doing a great job.
So, Jim, you would ask about things you can do. Could you like represent us at the first meeting of the month or whenever they talk about.
But we need to
The
come
plan?
up with, as a commission, we need to come up with what,
I,
if we're gonna
right,
have
no,
a
but,
rep-
right, but if we have somebody, who goes to the meeting and then comes back to us with what's going on, then we can, put it on old business and discuss it and then come up with our ideas.
I think a lot of the stuff is roundtable when you're there and they're working on a certain subject. So they'll be picking different topics and that meeting will focus on that topic, whether it be affordable housing or public transportation. Those are all required sections for the POCD. And I don't know if we have to go to all of those meetings.
Right, but don't you think it would be helpful if we have a, like we do in the Ag Commission and open
Yes, I
space?
do.
Have somebody, okay.
So,
Jim,
So when,
who is holding these meetings? Is it
P and Z.
P&Z? Yeah, sure. Fine.
so that's Thursday, the 3rd. And what's the time? Do you know?
Planning and zoning, did they start at 7:30? I have to look.
look on the website.
Yeah, I thought the first one was earlier. Oh,
Look
no,
on the
that's the
website.
selectmen. Yes, well, if I look on the website, I'm gonna lose you, so.
Not right now. Well, you can look after.
So
Yeah.
there's one meeting every month and it's on the first
No.
Thursday?
There's 2 meetings a month.
Next one's October 3rd. it
One
looks
meeting
like,
is for
right?
regulatory reasons. They don't do the POCD at both meetings.
No,
But,
Oh.
I think there should be a formal thing with, on our, old business and, someone keeping us up to
Yeah.
date as to
Sure.
what's going on.
I can do that.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, moving on to new business. We know Kakiwik's coming up. Any other workshops coming up or any 1 in 10 workshops? And it's warm out.
Aggie work.
I be interested in going to the Kakiwik conference. I know it's November
16th.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'll try to make it too. So we'll,
Okay.
maybe we can carpool.
sure.
Mm. Is it gonna be at
Um,
the Aqua Club again? Do you know, Lee?
Hang on. I have it. I just got a notice today, a reminder, so let me just look in my email.
Jason, I see you.
The
were-
Decor,
Go ahead.
the Coven House Community Center.
To Coven. Yeah, all right,
Oh, that's in Middletown.
Yeah, correct, Middletown.
yeah.
That's
Uh,
a smaller facility.
Well, what I was gonna say, Jason, I noticed you kind of,
Oh, no, I'm sorry,
Kakiwik-
it says that, it's Bristol Event Center, Bristol, Connecticut. It says the conference is scheduled for Saturday, November 16th, 2024, when we will return to the now completed Bristol
Ah.
Event Center. So it's
Okay.
Bristol, Connecticut.
okay. What I was starting to say was, Jason, Kakiwik is one of the conferences that we suggest anybody, especially if you're new to Conservation Commission,
Yep.
it's a really good one to attend, and we will reimburse you. The commission will pay for it, always, for everybody.
Yeah, it's a good,
So our conversation about it so far has been, it's coming up and I've just been silent because I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Really interesting. I used to go.
Kakiwik is Connecticut Association of Inland Wetlands and Conservation Inland Wetland Commissions. And it is a full day conference that has numerous subtopics within it on number of different conservation, concerns. Some of them legal, for wetlands, which
Right.
is a legal, agency. Others are like for conservation and talking with other people, examples of things. It's a great place to learn what your role is as a conservation commission, as well as get information on what other towns are doing, and it's a wonderful day.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it,
a
is
great
there
day.
can someone just put a link in the chat or something that I can look up?
Yeah,
I'll send you, I'm forwarding
Good.
letter to you right now that they sent
Awesome,
me.
awesome, thank you.
so should we just go ahead and, if you want to go to it, just sign up for it and then get reimbursed later?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
When you sign up and you put your payment through, they'll send you a receipt.
Good.
So, and then just, get me a copy of the receipt. That way I can pay it.
Okay, moving on to open discussion. Lisa,
Well, I think pretty much we've had that discussion. So unless I need to go over it again here, but
No, that's okay.
um,
I love you,
Jean,
but.
oh, Grace.
Jean,
I have nothing new to add.
good. Jim,
Nope, nothing.
Lori,
Nothing to add.
oh, Crystal,
Nothing.
oh, I'm throwing a shutout. Grace,
Yeah, nothing.
Maura,
Nope.
whoa, Jason,
No, nothing further, thank you.
holy cow.
See that?
Is there anything else for the good of the order? And hearing, if not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Jim, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, we are adjourned. It was a good meeting.
Good meeting.
Jason, I
Good to
put the
see you
link to
all.
Kakiwick in the chat for you.
Well, Jason, I just, it's in your inbox right now. I sent it.
Awesome,
Okay,
awesome, thank you both.
okay.
Good
Okay,
night.
great.
Everybody next month.
Night,
Thanks.
All right.
everyone.
Bye.
See you on Thursday, Jean. Let me know.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.